Last week I was talking to you folks about how I had this journey to the center of the earth. And I have been in sweat lodges with sun dancers, huge guys, where when the door goes up, everybody's got their face in the dirt because it was so hot, and I'm sitting there and I don't feel a thing. And I've been on vision quests. I've done 2 vision quests, 4 days, 4 nights, no water. Been in the Chihuahuan desert. I've done all these things, meditated. And this week when Kenny was over, I got this notice that said I had invasive plants on my property, and I freaked out. And Kenny's like, what? Just Google it. You'll know what it is. Now, there was a time, if I go back far enough, where the first thing I would have done was start blaming and shaming. How dare they come on my property and tell me what I got to do with my property? Who are they? Who do they think they are? Right? I'm sure I'm the only one who's ever done that. And then you come forward a little further in my evolution, and I would have gone, I can't believe I got upset about that. After all I've been through, I should be better than that. I really should be. I'm sure I'm the only one who's done that too. But instead, because my evolution keeps shifting, I just went, oh, ain't that interesting? Called the lady up, and we set up a time when I get back from Chicago to go over, let her show me what it is she needs pulled, and that'll be that. And so I've noticed that evolution in myself, right? And because it's really easy to blame, shame, or fix when you're upset, when you get into that upset space. But last week I'd mentioned to you folks that, my favorite Zen master is the one who said, I'm happy when I'm happy, sad when I'm sad, mad when I'm mad, and that's that. You just don't stay there, because once you stay there, once you start having your reasons for why you're upset, now you're defending the consciousness you have, and you don't have an opportunity to grow it. If you're defending the consciousness you have, you cannot grow your consciousness. You get that, right? So you come up with reasons for your upset, and then boom, you're stuck with the consciousness you got. Instead of the opportunity for it to shift and grow, which is really what we want. And there's all kinds of things we do with our minds. About 25 years ago, a little longer than that now, I was the music director for the first time at the Center for Spiritual Living in Asheville, North Carolina. And I woke up one Sunday morning, with what I thought was this great idea of something to do that day at the center. But I was positive that one of the co-ministers, John Waterhouse, would be against it. And so what I did is I began to put together my arguments so that I could convince him that this is something we should do, right? And I noticed that while I was putting together my arguments, I was getting really mad at him. And I got madder and madder to the point where I was absolutely furious at this guy who I hadn't even spoken to yet. So I get to the center, and I go up to him, and I tell him what I want to do, and he goes, that's great. Go ahead. So I crack up laughing, and now he's asking, what are you laughing about? So I tell him, and now the two of us are laughing, and isn't that what we do? We mess with our minds. We make up stories. Of course, I'm probably the only one. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being here for me around that. Thank you. And a lot of times we make up those stories. Maybe I'm the only one who actually makes up stories ahead of time. But we make up stories afterwards when we're upset, right? We have all these reasons, and this is what this person did, and they did this, and that's bad and wrong, and how dare they do that to me, and then there are things in the world right? Like what's going on in the Middle East and the Ukraine. These are big reasons. But here's the big thing about being upset is I have never in my entire life ever seen anyone, including myself, make a good decision when they're upset. So being upset doesn't help what's going on in the world. You know, I'm sure some of you saw the debate between in the States. Maybe you were upset about that. And it's not like that's a bad reason. It's just that as soon as you have one, there's no room for transformation. There's no room to grow your consciousness the second you have a really good reason for being upset. And you're not going to make a good decision if you're upset anyway. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, he had this guy he looked up to named Aurobindo. And my favorite Aurobindo quote is, "Transformation does not rectify, it transmutes." Transformation does not rectify, it transmutes. But when we're upset, what we're wanting to do is rectify, or shame and blame, right? And then totally miss the opportunity that's possible. And in so doing, lose the truth. The truth being that we're powerful, creative, spiritual beings. There's an opportunity in absolutely every situation, and that opportunity comes with transformation, not rectifying. Dr. Ernest Holmes, my favorite quote of his, our founder, is to abandon the truth in your hour of need is to not understand the truth. And the second you're upset, you have forgotten the truth. You have abandoned the truth. That's what's happened. That's what happened when I was standing there with Kenny. The good news was, this was just for about a minute. And that's what's possible, right? Once you really get into this idea that there's something beyond your upset. There's something there. There's always something there. You know, opportunities are everywhere. I went to coffee with Norm, and he was telling me about this friend of his. This is hilarious. The guy came up with the idea of renting himself out as the sacrificial lamb. Right? Because you need to blame somebody. And so he came up with the idea of going to these large corporations, having them hire him in top management, just so when something went wrong, he'd be the guy they fired. It's killer. Talk about thinking of an opportunity. But that's what's possible, right? When we're willing to shift, when we're willing to look at things from a new perspective. And that's what we teach here. That is the heart of what it is we teach here, is we teach how to get beyond however it is you're perceiving life now. Right? Because we get stuck in the ways we perceive life. We get stuck. And even after we've been in this teaching, you know, we get stuck. And then we need the next thing to support us in growing, and that's what the classes here are about. That's what we do here, right? To support you in transformation instead of rectifying. And when things transform, that's when our purpose comes into light, right? Awakening consciousness. And we get that by taking those steps, by not defending what it is we got now, and by noticing if we are defending what we got now, that's a really good time to shift. And, you know, our mission here is to teach spiritual practices that create joy-filled lives, and that's what we want to do. You know, and that's why we offer classes and stuff. I get up here on Sunday, I'm wanting to inspire you, but the real work happens in class. When somebody's in class, they have all these people around them doing the same thing they're doing, which is wanting to move, grow, you know, awaken. And so, and become aware of when you're asleep. That is such a key to all this, is becoming aware of when you're asleep. because then you can awaken. I'm with Kenny. I had my little outburst, and then I became aware I was asleep. Right? So I could shift, not beat myself up for it, because that's the work. And we're all doing it all the time. You know, life is a creative process. This creative process is happening whether we participate consciously or not. That's a real key to our teaching, is that you're creating your life. We all are. We're all creating our lives, whether we're participating consciously or not. It's hard to create consciously if you're not even aware that you're not. Right? And so that's a real key here to this whole thing, is becoming aware that if you're in defense at all, you're defending your current consciousness, thus blocking any ability to grow it, to awaken it. But the second you go, oh, look at me, I was just upset about that, then I can go, oh, okay, now I can be awake about that. Take whatever steps are next. You know, our minds are so incredible in their ability to create stories, right? Yeah, I was thinking about being a boss and having an employee and telling an employee how I want something to get done. And then they don't do it that way, right? It's a great example. I've seen a million bosses do this. Maybe not a million. That's probably an exaggeration. A bunch of bosses do this. They get really pissed off at their employees who didn't do it the way they want. But here's the interesting part. I've seen them pissed off because they didn't do it the way they wanted and it went badly. I've seen them pissed off because they didn't do it the way they wanted and it went better than they thought it would. Right? Our minds do that. And this is why letting go of control is just so valuable. This is why opening instead to the beauty of what's possible. You cannot see possibility if you are stuck in where you're sure it's at. You know, I hear people talk about the facts. This is reality. Nothing else is. As soon as you do that, you have locked in not only your creativity, but your consciousness. You have locked in and cut off the possibilities that are always open to you. One of the things that I have noticed most about my own growth is how I keep becoming a different person. When you're in a relationship with somebody for a long time, that becomes really fun. It's like Ash and I have noticed that we are with a different person about every 3 to 5 years. We get to have a new relationship. It's really spectacular. What I've noticed is the more I awaken, the more I experience the newness of everyday life that for some seems so mundane. I get to see and experience something new and stuff because I'm looking for it. I'm looking for that newness. I'm looking for that opportunity. I'm looking for that growth. I'm asking you, what are you looking for? We're looking for a specific result that maybe could actually be better? Are you looking for something you are sure has to go a particular way? Because as soon as you get locked into stuff like that, you miss out on all the possibility going on around you. My son called me last week and he said, "How come you weren't like this 15 years ago?" And I said to him, "I wish I was, but I'm really glad I'm like this now." But Ash and I, we point out to each other all the time how we barely recognize each other as the people who were first together, and what we used to fight about, and what went on in our relationship, and how we have taken a hold of our own evolution, and how that has then impacted not only my relationship with her, but my relationship with all of you. You would not have wanted me as the minister I was when I was in Burbank. I was thinking about that. I was thinking how I had the exact same job, getting up every Sunday, talking, being with people, teaching classes, and yet I am so different that it makes all the difference in the community we're forming, in my open heart, in my ability to be in space with things that, get wobbly. Your ability to stand in the strength of who you are grows with your awakening. Your ability to find the next step in life that is yours to take, that is yours to do, becomes easier to know. Doubt falls away. I guess it's got to be 8-9 months ago I mentioned to you guys that I don't experience shame anymore. I also don't experience, I just noticed recently, I don't experience burden anymore. You know how light that feels? And yet I feel more engaged in life than ever. I have never felt this engaged in my day-to-day. It feels fantastic to just experience the dirt in my fingers. When I come and I hug you guys, I love the hugs. Oh my God. It's such an incredible thing to open. And that's what's possible when you're willing to grow your consciousness. And to grow your consciousness, you cannot defend what it is you got. So if you find yourself in a situation that is upsetting, I highly recommend reminding yourself, no, I don't have to stay here. One of my mentors, Barbara Waterhouse, John, the other co-minister in Asheville, used to say all the time, it's not what you do first, it's what you do second. First, you simply have your reaction. That's okay. We get to have an emotional reaction to life. In fact, that's part of the engagement, right? Is being emotionally engaged. So then you have those reactions. But then what? Then what? That's what's possible. That's why I invite you to take the classes. Come join my experiential thing. What we do there is grow our consciousness. What we do there is face that which is our next thing in front of us that stops us from growing our consciousness. I see the heat's a little high in here for some folks. Let's see what we can do about that next time. We'll get those fans out. Notice what is upsetting. Be willing to know that there's something beyond it. Be willing to know that there's an opportunity there. That's what I'm inviting you to do. That's where the growth is. It's something you get to do this all the time. This isn't about Monday morning meditation and then that's it for the day. It isn't even about coming to class and then that's it for the week. It's about the day-to-day, taking it in when those moments happen. There's nothing more powerful in life than a moment that looks like it's going south. Really, it's the most powerful moments you have in your life. It is where the true character builds. It's where the true transformation occurs. It's where we can get past our rectifying and get into a place of true growth, true awakening. That's what's possible in every single moment that looks like, well, that's going south. I'm upset about that. This is what's possible. This is what I am urging you and inviting you to rise to. Because the more we can do it in this community, the more our community grows, the more then you go out and touch other people's lives, who then touch other people's lives, who then touch other people's lives. And it really is the way we can change the world. It really is the way we impact out there, is when we shift, when we can take what we're learning here and truly shift in our day-to-day. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here.